So the first module is on encountering the problem. And I will take it from the book of Matthew chapter 8 verses 26. Jesus responded, "Why are you afraid? You have so little faith." Then he got up and rebuked the wind and the waves. And suddenly there was a great calm. You see, this was a situation where the disciples were crossing the sea. And then, in the midst of the sea, there rose a great wave. And we need to understand something here. The problem here wasn't their faith. And it was also not because they were not born again, but because the waves were a great deal. This was the problem. But I will explain further. So what Jesus is saying is, if only you could believe, then they could have not even had the need to wake up Jesus if they had the faith. The challenge here, the challenge they were facing was the great waves. So the response that they needed to give back was a reaction of faith, but they feared. Do you understand? So for example, if you are going through a certain situation, a certain problem, of course we all have problems, but now your response, your reaction is what matters, because we will always have challenges in life. A man of faith is never in a hurry. You can understand from the story the way Jesus rose up and woke up and said, "What's your problem?" And it's amazing because these people are in the midst of a great wave. And the first thing Jesus does is he talks to them, he rebukes them. "Why are you afraid? You have so little faith." Then he says, then he got up and rebuked the wind. Can you imagine if it was you? You could have gotten up fast, rebuked the wind and the waves, and you know what? And then talk to the guys and try to address the guys and tell them, this is how it's supposed to be done. But this is crucial. Do you understand now? A man of faith is never in a hurry. Jesus talked to the disciples first. He addressed them. He talked to them. He told them, you know what? And the guys, I know, as he's talking to them, the guys are still worried and afraid of dying. But then he rebuked the wind and the waves. So this is the reason why a man of faith is not in a hurry, because he knows that he has everything under control. They were fearful because they had faith on the wrong thing. This was the problem. They had faith on the wrong thing. On what? On death, on the waves, that the waves could kill them. Do you understand that? They had faith, but they had faith on the wrong thing, on the waves that were about to crush them. So they believed that the waves could kill them. Do you get that? So, and you express what you believe. Your actions are expressions of your faith. Your actions are expressions of what you believe. And so when they saw the waves, they got scared. Why? Because their faith was based on the waves, that they believed the waves could destroy them. But if they believed that God could save them, then they couldn't have feared. That is why Jesus was not afraid, because he believed that God could save him. Do you get the difference? The easiest way to know what you believe is watch what you always say. Not what I said, watch what you always say. You may pretend once or twice, but it will always come out. Because whatever you always say, not the words we say when we are in church, you say, I'm blessed. Then when you go home, no, what you always say, watch what you always say. You see, when there is a contrary situation in your life, you don't fear because of the situation. They didn't fear because of the waves. No. I can illustrate. Let me show you an example. For example, when the disciples saw the waves, they did not fear because of the waves, but they feared once they based their faith on the outcome, death. You understand? You don't fear because of the situation that you go. No, people fear because of the outcome. As I had said earlier, you will always say what you believe. Now, of course, I'm not talking about jokes. Sometimes we joke. For example, you have been diagnosed with cancer. You don't fear because you have cancer. No. You fear because of the outcome that you have imagined. Faith focuses on the end result. It focuses on the goal to be achieved. And then whether it be good or bad, that determines how your emotions will go. Your emotions follow what you are thinking, what you believe. So, when you face a situation, people fear because they have based their faith on the outcome. When you go for an interview and then you are competing with guys who have PhDs, if you allow your thoughts, if you allow yourself to believe that because these guys have PhDs, they will defeat me. Now, because you have based your faith on the guys defeating you, not because they have the PhDs, that is not why you fear. But you feared because now you believe that because they have the PhDs, they will do what? They will defeat me in the interview. And then now you became afraid. Because this is a fact. You will always find someone who is better than you. Singing, preaching, praying the word, who is more wiser than you. You will always find someone who is better looking than you. There is always that one person. But now, there is no problem with that. It's good to appreciate that. But that is not the reason why you fear. You don't fear because someone is wiser than you. No. Once you have imagined, because these people are wise, so they will do what? They will defeat me. Now, once you have based your faith on them defeating you, then you fear. And then you lose. Because faith focuses on end result. Now you can look at someone who is better than you and say, you know what, God has given them talent, but you know what, God is also with me. So because God is with me, I'm gonna win. And you know what, you will not now be afraid. Your faith will focus on a victorious result. You will get that success. That is very crucial, even to the walk of faith. That is how it works. Glory to God. God bless you.